Well, hey there, and October greetings to you. This is Mart with Max Q and another update on the J-3 Cub Restoration project. And I messed with a lot of stuff in the last week, but it's kind of weird because it felt like I only got about 3 days worth of work done. So I'm not sure what's up with that, but I was working every day. But anyway, here is some stuff that I did do the fingernail polish paint treatment with. The gas cap and fuel gauge, which if you're familiar with Cubs, and you probably are, it is simply a cork float that sits in the gas and goes down as the fuel is burned, and you can see then that wire sticking above the gas cap for an indicator. It's an awesome fuel gauge. I love the simplicity of all of this. This one, the float was in really good shape. The wire didn't look very pretty, but I Scotch-Brighted that, and then of course I sandblasted. Well, I took the seal off the bottom, and then I taped this all off so I wouldn't do any damage, especially to the soft cork. And then I sandblasted the cap and primed it, and then I ran into some issues because I did the gas cap on my Baby Ace. In fact, here's a picture of it back when I was doing it. Wasn't, I guess that's on the airplane. So anyway, it turned out really nice. And so when I was doing this one, I was focused mostly on the color. I wanted what I felt was the right kind of color. And I got some fingernail polish, but it's called Insta Dry, so it dries faster than normal. All nail polish dries fairly quickly, but this dries faster than normal, and that created quite a problem because since there's actually quite a bit of surface area compared to what a fingernail would be if you were doing it, you have a lot of overlap in your strokes, and that causes a problem if it's setting up too quickly. So I put like 3 coats on there and just wasn't happy with it. So this morning I went ahead and sandblasted all that off. Now the interesting thing about that was it was incredibly difficult to sandblast that off. So I was really impressed with the durability. So I do think that the fingernail polish is a good idea from the durability and the simplicity, and especially the idea here being that if you did have a chip or any kind of wear showing, if you have that fingernail polish, with the airplane, my intention is to include one with the airplane so that they can just have it in the baggage area there, and you can do quick touch-up because it's not just going to be the gas cap. It'll be, for example, this is the little knob on the end of the fuel shutoff cable, and it's a metal knob, and it doesn't come off. I don't know how it's attached, but doesn't seem to come off, and it had some sort of like a red dye on the metal, but a lot of it had faded really badly. And so I thought, well, hey, let's try the fingernail polish trick there. And it was the same situation where I'd already done this with the fast dry stuff, and it was just a little bit lumpy. So this was easy to get off because I could just take the acetone to it and it came right off. And anyway, which I don't think fuel is any kind of an issue with the nail polish, but acetone certainly is. But anyway, because like on my gas cap on the Baby Ace, it's been on there a couple of years. It still looks like brand new. And so anyway, I don't think there's any issue there. But so we'll go over this in a minute too because it relates to the fuel tank over here. But so anyway, I got some, the brand is OPI, and it's a lot more expensive. You don't have to have expensive stuff, but you just don't want fast drying nail polish for these little tiny parts and such. Slow dry, normal drying time, and otherwise it has a great feel. And with multiple layers on there, again, I think that also helps with wear and even protection from chip and such. So anyway, so that's the fingernail polish situation. Now I actually did work on, let me grab it over here. I had the mag switch well done. I painted it black because I did do some black painting. I was about to last video, and I did do some like the rudder pedals and brake pedals. I painted the mag switch black and several other little parts. And so then I went ahead and I masked off the base unit here so I could do the lever in the red. So I did that this morning, and I mentioned in the last video the tolerance between the center rotating part and the base unit here is really tight on this one. When I did the Super Cub, there was a little more room there for you to separate the two colors. And so I was having a challenge with that. And then I think if I remember right, by then I'd already figured out that I wanted to use the slow drying. So I did that, but then I wasn't happy with the way the two were together. So I went ahead and blasted it. So anyway, this is turning out to be my little nemesis, but partly, I guess mostly because I really want it to look super nice, and I'm doing things kind of weird. So, but you know, that's the way I do things. But anyway, so I think I got the fingernail polish thing figured out now, and I'm going to spray some black on that mag switch again, and we'll get her figured out. But so let's go over to the fuel tank, which is actually just right over here. So I did a bunch of work on the fuel tank. I got all the plumbing completely in last week, and used, we'll talk about this next time because I don't have the thread sealant sitting out here, but I did a bunch of research on it to make sure it was compatible with fuel and especially avgas. So anyway, so there's thread sealant on all the joints here. And again, if you're familiar with Cub, the AD that requires a fuel drain here on the aft tank exit, and then this will have a flexible line that goes down through the floorboards and outside the airplane so that you can daily drain some of the fuel to make sure there's no moisture in the tank. And so that's in place. And then this fuel valve here, which is not the style. This is a ball valve, modern ball valve, unlike the one that I showed in the previous video, the old original style that had no seal, just metal on metal with a taper and a spring that keeps tension on the taper. Anyway, which this was kind of interesting. I used the valve on the Baby Ace all the time, but I'd never really studied it. And it turns out it's exactly that old style. It's actually laying in there sideways, but and I've not had any trouble with it leaking. But the thing is, those styles will eventually leak. So this should be really good. But one of the things that's there are actually a couple of things that are a bit of an issue with it is, from everything in the research I had done, the valve on the original Cub only traveled 45 degrees to get full open. But most valves turn 90 degrees. And so I had seen some info, and I don't know if it's accurate or not, but the Univair sells a valve like this, and the bore is significantly larger inside, and so and this is not officially from Univair. I've just seen other people say this is what Univair says, but that even if you only have a 45-degree throw, because the bore is so much larger, you still have more fuel flow than you would with the old valve. But I was hoping I could do better than that, and as it turns out, again, this cable here, this is the fuel shutoff cable, and it winds up going, let me see if I can do this here on the camera. So it winds up mounting in here and getting clamped, and then of course it goes through the side wall of the left side of the cockpit and over to the little well that's sort of down between the throttles, so that you have a fuel shutoff valve. But the thing that's an interesting challenge is there's supposed to be this swivel assembly here. Here's a real close-up picture of it that shows it, and they're hard to find, and they're expensive when you do find them. So I thought, hey, I got a lathe, so I went ahead and I made one of these on the lathe. In fact, the center mast is actually, it's not a bolt, it's a clevis bolt, and as you may know, a clevis bolt has fewer threads and more shank, so that in a situation where a clevis bolt would be used in like at the end of a bell crank and such, where there's rotation and bearing surface on more of the bolt. They have a longer shank so that it's not wearing on the threads, which obviously you wouldn't want to be pulling against and bearing on threads. So I happen to have a brand new clubus bolt, so I ground the head off. This is the head end here. I ground the head off. So on the back side, of course, I've got the threads. It's a 3/16, so there's an AN3 nut on there, castle nut. And then I drilled a hole on this end for the wire. And then the key here is with these is that this thick washer is hollowed out, so that what happens is the wire goes through, like this picture here, you can see where the wire goes through that hole. And then what you do is you tighten down then the castle nut here to the point that you actually crimp and put a bend in the wire. And once it's got that bend in it, it can't pull out easily. And then you back off the castle nut just one space so that you can get the cotter pin in. But what that does is it takes the tension off of this and allows it to swivel in the mounting bracket. So you have a secure attachment for the wire, but you also have an opportunity for the whole assembly to pivot and swivel when you're going through the range of motion actuating the valve. And that's all really important. So I did a test the other day. I put the whole thing together and mounted the cable here in its well that mounts on the side of the fuselage, so I could tell how much room I had for the knob to slide in and out within that well. And I was able to get full throw from full on to full off with this valve. And because of the swivel especially, there's no binding, there's no jamming up and fighting, pulling hard, and or trying to stop the travel. So all things considered, this was a fun little project to put that thing together, and I think it's going to work fantastic. I did a bunch of research online to see exactly what the process is with these, and then tried to make one exactly like it, which was really quite easy. It's not a fancy part on the lathe. You could even do it with a drill press if you were creative, but it's certainly easier with the lathe. But anyway, so this is all just really good, I think. The only thing I have left to double check is that where this cable then goes through the sidewall of the airplane, and I put that I put an aluminum washer on the back side of the fabric and put a piece of tape over it. Hopefully I have that in the right spot and a good angle for all of this cable then to still operate smoothly from the cockpit to, I guess technically it's more like this up here since the tank is on its nose here at the moment. But anyway, so it'll be interesting to see how all that comes together. But the bigger thing then that I did was I went to the airport where my baby Ace is at. In fact, because I did that, here's a little, I did a little flying the other morning, so that was awesome. And it's pretty cool flying the baby Ace because it's so much like a Cub, even though it's single seat and open cockpit. But anyway, so that was fun. But the biggest reason why I went down to the airport was I wanted to get some avgas so I could put avgas in this tank and test the tank itself for leaks. Since I've cleaned it and such, wanted to make sure, obviously, before it goes back in, that there aren't any leaks within the actual structure of the tank. And then all these fittings, I needed to see that those were okay as well. So I got 12 gallons of avgas and filled that thing up. And by golly, not a leak anywhere, no problems whatsoever. So was really happy to see that. So basically, this tank at this point is, I believe, ready to go back in, but it won't go in right now. I've got other work to do for sure, but at least it's all prepared and ready. I do have the straps that hold it in place that need to be blasted and painted yet, and I got some new cushion material for those as well. So anyway, that's a big accomplishment though, to have that all together, but even more important to know that it's not leaking and it should be all good and airworthy and such. So that's all good and happy there. And if we take the gas cap here, Stick it on so we can see how nice the gas cap looks. I also got a John Deere fuel neck grommet, and so this will go on, I believe. The way this typically goes, this the lower part here, I believe, has to be cut off, and you wind up just using the upper section as it sits down onto the boot cowl. But anyway, this fits perfectly over the neck, and I'm not going to do anything with it until I've got the boot cowl built and the tank is in and such, and we'll figure all that out. But at least I've already got it on hand, so that's a good deal. And let's see, so there's the fuselage in there. I've done some spraying, so I've got it covered with sheets and such. And let me take a look here. Oh yeah, hang on, there's something over here I gotta show you. So so I sprayed the yellow on the test panel. I think I had showed it, but I also put some black on it. So I had talked to, suggested to Andy, the owner of the airplane, that maybe we could do a special black that's not jet black. It's a little bit softer than that, and I thought that would warm up the look on the inside the cockpit, but then was curious to see how that would look against the yellow. And keep in mind, the yellows, like as I'm looking at the screen on the GoPro, it's a different yellow than what my eyes are seeing, and your monitor and my monitor are all different. So, but the yellow looks fantastic here in real life. And as it turns out, that black, even though it is a softer black, it's not noticeable so much that way on the outside of the airplane, which is good. I didn't want that to be such an issue, but I do think it'll warm up the look on the inside of the cockpit. So anyway, that's a really rough test panel. It's not meant to really replicate a chunk of airplane. I just mostly wanted to be able to get some paint on some Dacron, and then I was surprised. I just eyeballed that lightning bolt real fast because I just wanted to see what the black looked like on it, and actually I think it's kind of cool. So anyway, was real happy, and Andy likes it as well, so I think we're in good shape there. And then I think the only other thing I was going to show is, again, I've got the fuselage covered here just with some sheets so I don't get any overspray on it. But I did do something that was a bit time consuming last week. So I temporarily put rudder pedals here for the back seat in place so that I could try to figure out, as I had mentioned in the last video, that I needed holes to go through this sidewall here to line up with the fair lead holders that are back here behind. We'll look at it over here. There you can see where the fair lead is. So if you do the method where you, the standard method where the vertical tube here and the fabric is pulled over and held, then it gets out of the way I think that exposes those fair lead holes. So it's a total non-issue in that situation. But to me, that looks like more work, and it doesn't look as clean as this beautiful radius here. And so, but the one thing you have to do is you've got to figure out, well, where the rudder cable is going to pass through. So I didn't have any fancy way to do that. So what I did, first I wanted to put the rudder pedals at least in place so that I could estimate exactly where the cable would be attaching. So I know I'd be going from here to the fair lead back there. And so what I did, I took a straight edge first, and I got myself a line basically going from that point to the fair lead, marked the fabric. So at least now I know up and down where I'm at, but then where am I at this way? So what I wound up doing was I took a needle and thread, and I tied the thread to this end, and I estimated in a variety of methods and made a little mark, and then I ran the needle through there and then over to the fair lead, and then tried to the best of my ability, determine was that thread running in a straight line on both sides of where it penetrated. And it was pretty easy to tell I was off a little bit, not horribly, but I made some adjustments, and so then I cut a hole, or burned a hole, with my hot knife. So it's they're really nice little holes. As it turns out, both of them seem to be perfect. I did run some cable through there then, going from the rudder pedal through. I put a fair lead in and such, and it looks to me like we're in great shape. And there is obviously, with the movement of the pedal, there's a little bit of movement in the cable, but even at that, I don't think those holes would have to be big and sloppy. The one thing though that is kind of interesting is I can't get, well, the rudder cables that were with this airplane appear to be in fine shape, so I don't think I need to make new ones. And so the thimble end, I can't get it to go through these holes at the moment, and but they're so nice because they actually are just like a perfect fit around the cable itself. But I'm probably going to have to open those holes up. May have to put a little leather piece on there or something. My friend Mike was commenting to me, and he's definitely right. I mentioned that maybe I would try to do like I did up there with the aluminum, but because of the movement of the pedals and such, you need to have something to make sure there's no chance for chafing of the cable against the aluminum. So you'd either just open up the hole a little bit more there, and if you do it with the hot knife, it's going to be a seared edge and nice and clean anyway. And or especially the beauty of that is if you try that and it goes well, you're all good. If it doesn't go well, hey, you cut a little round leather patch and put it over it, and then that hides any problem that you had. So anyway, so that was kind of cool though to get that figured out, and might have it here as a really clean method. And the other thing, like Mike had mentioned to me, is the front of the rear seat is here and the cushions are up on top of it, so honestly you don't even see that. I mean, it doesn't stand out and it may not even be visible. So, but obviously it does need to allow the cable to go through and not be obstructing anything. So anyway, so I think that's gonna work. And otherwise, a lot of little details, but it was really cool spraying some of that yellow and putting some black on it. And I mentioned that in the last video that it was really nice getting some yellow sprayed, but especially having the black on it. Now that looks like Cub for sure. So anyway, there's your update, and hopefully I can get a little more done by next video, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.